Just a fella, man. This is my last number. I have 3. LW7080 is my last one. KX2151 was my second, and my first one was GS5436. So I make this video because I've had some comments, and I love it, man. I love it. At John Cena-03D. So in regards to my prison riot story, he had some concerns with the authenticity of my story, as if I'm fraud. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not a fraud. And trust me, I could have done a lot better than that. I don't think I glorified myself. What did I do in that war besides hold my own? I didn't cause much damage. I just survived. Right? So now let me go over a few things. I use the term riot loosely. I explained this in the video. More like a melee. A group of people going to war. Some had weapons, some did not. Some of John's concerns. He said if there was a 50-person war on the yard, he said there was no chance of a 50-person war. Now, mind you, I guessed 50. Originally, as far as we were informed, in the RHU, they locked up, they put about 30-something people in the hole at first record. I think the first day or the first, when we went back, it was 23, and then they went back and got more people, and it was 30-something, and they kept getting more people. I assumed it was that amount. Not everybody gets caught. You know what I mean? And it's not like you're counting. Oh, 1, 2, 3. You're in your zone. Like I said, during this war, you know what I mean, which I labeled a riot because it was more than a few people. So during this riot, war, whatever terminology you want to use, I was laser focused on who was in front of me. I didn't even see any of my own homies doing anything. However, I know from various accounts that this person did that. That person did this. This person was getting it in. I know that. Like I said, until the end with Nitty when I was walking out of yard and I ran back because, I thought one of our guys was in trouble, and it was. And Nitty was fucking this dude over. So, let's go over some of his concerns. Yo, and I love John Cena, at John Cena. Maybe it's the real John Cena. Come on the show, bro. You did Fed time, it said, right? Let me explain something, right? Feds is a lot different than state. I've never been in Feds, but I heard the story. Protocols are a lot different. They play by higher stakes up there. We're going to keep it real. A lot more, from what I'm told, there's a lot more murders in the Feds than there is in the state. You hear about them in the state, what are they called? Unalived. All right, let me start using my terminology. Someone has pointed out that YouTube is getting a little more strict with censorship. So we will use the word unalive. When that happens in prison, at least in state, it's not common. It's known all across the state. Feds, it's a little more common from what I've been told. Feds is a lot more gang-oriented. It's a lot more racially segregated than our state penitentiaries in Pennsylvania. So let's go over some of the things that John pointed out as a comment. You can read his comments below on the part 2 of the prison riot. So he asked me to upload a video of my paperwork. I no longer have that paperwork, but if I did, it wasn't telling of much. I can sit here and tell you it said whatever I wanted to say, right? Because you can't see it. No, it simply said that this inmate was seen, I believe, punching and receiving punches in the yard. They keep it real basic. COs are lazy. They have to write up all these write-ups. They're not writing up detailed write-ups of what every person does. It is on video. Maybe there's a way to get this video from central office in Pennsylvania. Like I said, this incident was 07 or 08. I believe 08, because that's when I got kicked out of the jail. I think I got kicked out in June after 60 days in the hole. Okay, so that's not there. This paperwork, when I went to prison one time, ex of mine, we'll call D, and she's still around, so maybe she can verify this, maybe she won't. We didn't end on good terms, so I don't know. But she got scared by reading some of my paperwork. Honestly, I don't think my paperwork was that bad. There was a stabbing in there, but even the paperwork for the stabbing was not like glorifying my actions. It was very basic, you know what I mean? So they keep it real basic, whatever. So in them incidences, like I said, but I did have that for a while, and it's a whole, I still have a trash bag full of certain stuff that I got to go through. But still, believe it or not, there will be people on my podcast, on my lives that I do on Facebook and then transfer over to here, and on my YouTube that can verify almost every story I tell. So you will get a sense of who I am as a person. Like I said, I'm not a fraud, but determine yourself. All right, so he said that they would hit the alarm. I don't believe Housdale has an alarm because there's been many riots up there. Google it. I've Googled our own. It does not pop up, okay? Maybe it wasn't that large of an incident. Like I said, when I was there, within 14 months, there was 3 riots, or what I consider riots. Let's call them melees. Maybe this guy, being as though he did Fed times, looks at riots as defined under different terms. I am using a riot to say a group of people. You know what I mean? Ours was not anywhere near the largest. There was a lot bigger riots than this. So he said that they would ring a warning, hit the alarm. Our jail don't have an alarm. He said that if you didn't drop to the floor, you're liable to be shot. The protocol in our state, if it is like that, I have never seen it. Everybody get on the ground. It's not like you see in a movie. It's not like in California. It's not like in the feds. They don't make the whole yard get down. The COs up here are known to get assaulted, stabbed, and hurt. There's a story that when I tried Googling our own riot to see if it was in there, like I said, I could not find it. I found other stories of riots and situations in Housdale. One where 4 officers were injured severely. One was life-flighted. Nobody was shot. You know what I mean? Maybe they should have, I don't know. We don't have gun towers in this prison like here. They're out, but they're in the distance, more for the perimeter. It's not the setup of a feds. It's not like Greatesford where there's a tower here, you know, cornered. It's not like some of the older prisons where they have the 4 corner towers. You know what I mean? There's one, but it's like in a distance. You know what I mean? And that's probably where the 3 warning shots came from. So, which I assume were, let me read his, okay. So he said there's no way there was 3 gangs fighting. Now, let me explain this. It was 2 gangs. Part of one, the third, jumped in out of support for one of the members of the one gang. Okay, so it wasn't 3 gangs. And I believe I explained this. If I did not, then I am clarifying. It was 1, and it wasn't even that whole, the guys we're going against, that wasn't even all of them. There were a lot more than that. We estimated up to 100 of them in total in the jail. I don't know if that's an exaggeration, but there was a lot of them. Let's just say that. Not all of them were involved. So, let's get down to it. I'm watching too many movies, bro. Okay, all right, that's sure. I thought I was being transparent in my story. Like I said, if I was going to make myself look good, I did glorify some of the story in parts of it because that's the mindset I was in as I'm telling the story. There are real emotions. I felt some type of way of betrayal for my own homies doing what they did. So when there's incidences where I was speaking of them, I spoke in a certain manner that is not conducive with the mindset I now try to uphold. You know what I mean? So, and let's be honest. I'm going to be real right here. John Cena and anybody watching, I didn't even want to do these jail stories. I didn't want to do these prison stories. I'm on a positive mindset. I've learned from my experiences. I do not support violence. There is times where violence is necessary, and that is to protect the oppressed or people that you're protecting. You know what I mean? Or to defend your own self. I did not want to do these prison stories. Anybody around me knows that. And the manner in which I told them, certain times, smiling and glorifying. It's glorifying it. I don't mean to do, but I was stuck in that mindset. I'm going to try to adjust accordingly. I didn't want to tell these stories because they're negative. And I'm not in a negative mindset anymore. So, this kind of reverted me mentally. All right, back to responding to John Cena's comments in my part 2 prison riot story, The Ambush. Okay, so he said gangs move in silence. Yes, when there's small hits, yes, you're, you know, and if you're in a gang, specific gang, let me say a legislated gang, because if you're talking about like sections of the city that are not labeled as gangs, but are still technically gangs, you know, because they stick together, North Philly, West Philly, South Philly, you know, it's not the same. You just do it, you go. Separately from gangs, hits are usually sanctioned if they're not spare of the moment, because that can cause a whole war. It's part of the politics. So yeah, you are correct. But as far as moving aside, this was a gang versus gang dispute situation. It gets handled. What do you think? You're going to pick apart all 13 of us individually, and you know what I mean? Or if you, like I said, that's the highest. I counted us at our strongest, 13. So let me see. Yeah, so gangs moving signs. How many riots do you see? Like, I don't get that part, bro. I don't get that part. Maybe you weren't involved in its nature. Maybe it's different in the feds. I don't think so. How many gang wars have there been in the feds? Is that silent? Yes, there's times you move in silence, but there's times to make noise and where it's necessary. All right. He speaks of a guard getting jumped. I don't believe I said a guard getting jumped. I saw Animal or somebody else, punching on a guard, bro. This is common in Housedale, man. Guards get fucked up there. They get stabbed. They get, yes, that is reason to be shot. However, as many times as it has happened in Housedale, which is well known and well documented, like I said, I just watched videos on YouTube YouTube about a few incidents up Housedale that I was not involved in. And I don't know if I was there or not but of guards being assaulted. And, like I said, it was a different kind of jail. Protocol, yes, I believe they are allowed to use deadly force in them times, but have they ever? Not that I know of. Maybe the guard tower's too far out because, like I said, it's not like four corners in Housedale. There's one just like all the way from what I remember. I've been in 10 prisons, so my memory's a little skewed, but they pretty much all look alike, the newer prisons. The older ones are a different story. And like I said, I welcome him, the one who commented, and anybody else to come on my podcast and dispute me. If you think something's inaccurate, talk to me, and I'll explain it to the best of my memory, to the best of my ability. Okay, let's go back to, he talks about trouble to gangs resulting in lost positions in the kitchen. You are right. There's a lot of politics that comes with going to a gang war. That's why it's usually, talks are had, and we had that talk, and it was a lineup. The one on the other side decided to call the war on his side, and we reacted, accordingly. So this guy, John, said he did 5 years of a seven-year sentence in the feds. You know what I mean? And he tells his story, and I would love for you to come on and tell your story about that and talk about the difference between state and feds. Anything I'm saying is as accurate as possible to the best of my recollection. My second part of this video, prison riots, I made some corrections because when we were face-to-face with them and I said I was talking, that was another incident. I said my stuff, you know what I mean? But it wasn't how I remembered it, even though I didn't relay all of that in the video, how I thought that part. But the part that I do distinctly remember, the conversation before the actual riot, we're in the back of the yard, and our group's here, and part of their group's there, was them trying to say, their leader trying to say, I was waiting for him to leave to do a hit on one of his homies. And I told him if I was doing a hit on one of your homies, it would be while you were here. I don't got to wait till you leave. And that was the end of that conversation. Whatever happened before, I don't remember. And then the disrespect to one of my homies from one of his homies, blah, 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 and all that happened. Transparency on that. All right, so if I was frauding, I would have just stuck with, no, it was this and that. There was another incident about throwing up certain things, and that was, disrespectful to the other side, and blah, 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 and I was on my shit. We'll get to that too, although it was not much of an incident. You know what I mean? Nothing ended up happening. It was a standoff. So it's not worth much conversation. But that's what I was thinking of, that interaction with this specific person, their shot caller, or two of their shot callers actually was in that incident, that I kind of mixed with. Because this is almost 20 years ago, okay? I remember the best I can, but I'm giving it to you as detailed as possible, trusting my memory. So, right, there is no, nor will there ever be any intentional misleading or deceit. It's not who I am. I have plenty of people that were in the prison that I went to after I got kicked out of Housedale that have heard about it, but maybe weren't there. We're trying to find people now on both sides, guards and convicts that were there and involved. I will find somebody, so there will be verification. Trust that. Or how about call up the jail? Act like you're with the news. My name is Justin Klein. Justin Anthony Klein. My number back then was GS5436. Have a few other numbers after that. This is my most recent. Well, one of my most recent. I've been upstate 3 times under this number. But use your resources, man. Ask them about it. Say you want to know about the riots back in or the situation back in 2008. I don't want to say the group I was involved in. I'm no longer involved with them, and it's embarrassing that I ever was, okay? So please respect that. All right, LOL. He LOL'd me. All right. So, he says that he can tell when I'm lying. Work on my story. You can tell when you're lying. You can't sit still. I have ADHD. Look at all my videos. I'm moving. And I think it's boring just sitting there, bro. And if I'm pausing, it's trying to think. It's trying to think. Now, let me say, they say which way you look. If you look left, it's supposed to be deceit. Right is you're trying to check your memory. This is the right, this is the left. So if you're judging off of that, I'm right-handed. I wear my watch on my left hand. So if you're judging off of that, I don't know. I don't care to look at the videos because I know I'm telling the truth to the best of my ability. I do want to tell it from more of a non-biased perspective, however. All right, let's go back to the rest of this here. All right, he talks about his own charges, blah, blah, blah. He was in the feds, and almost none of that stuff you're spewing ever. Okay, he's saying that all this stuff. All right, so he thinks I'm just trying to get on the prison bandwagon and get my YouTube channel going. I mean, who doesn't want their, of course, because you are trying to monetize. However, I started this with intention of deterring people from going to prison. When I was in prison, me and my friend Vaughn started a YouTube channel where some of my stories on there. Just Live Loyal. We discontinued it, and I wanted to focus more on the positive, the mindset I developed from being through this stuff. When I was on Ian Bick's podcast recently, I was giving the advice to, tell the people who you are, where you came from, so that they can resonate with you, and then you can speak your positive. So I attempted to do that. And that's where Prison Diaries came in. The actual title was given to me by my friend Vaughn. So he gave me the idea of the actual title and the concept. He's been saying to do that. But like I said, I veered away from it because it's not the direction I wanted to go. And even when I watch my video back, the glorification in my face and the way I'm saying certain things is not conducive with my current mindset. Please keep that in account. Any stories that I tell will be as accurate as possible. And if I notice, or if I finish the video and realize, oh, this part wasn't right, I thought it was, but now I realize, no, this happened, I'm going to come back on here and I'm going to recant my statement because I'm okay with being incorrect. However, I will never intentionally be deceitful. It's not in me as a person. And everybody on here will get to know me. John's at John Cena dash lowercase o 3 lowercase d. Bro, come on my podcast. We can dispute in real time. So there's no you're not thinking oh, I'm trying to prepare for this or that. My stories are sincere and genuine. You know what I mean? These things have happened. Now, we don't always remember accurately when we're involved in any type of incident. You know what I mean? But to the best of my recollection, I will give factual stories and details. Okay, let's go back. He said that I was trying to brag about damage. As far as I remember, I mentioned stepping to the right of the big homie. Somebody attempted to cut my face, but didn't do it correctly. Then they went to a group of people, I guess, to hand off the razor. Maybe they didn't think I was going to do anything. And then I just went up and started swinging on all of them. I don't think I did much damage. There was a hell of a lot of them to begin with. And then, like I said, that slowly dwindled because you can only have so many people punching and trying to hurt one person. After that, it broke down to 2 or 3, and I was backpedaling, trying not to get stabbed. By whacked, it was like this big. And somebody said it broke on them. So, like I said, it's not that 50 people had whacks and all. No, our whole side, nobody had weapons. I had a razor in my mouth. The one guy that had a weapon on our side, let's call him M, made parole. So I'm assuming that's why he didn't get in. I think he looked at a lot of us as crash dummies, I'm going to be honest, bro. I thought he had a little more love for me because I took a case for him. I can't say it's for him. It was something in my possession, but it was for the sake of him. We'll get to that story as well. That was in this prison bid, but before this. And that's documented, that case, so you don't have no problem finding it. Like I said, we'll get to that, but that was the only whack weapon that on our side that anybody had. The rest of ours were in the ground. We used to keep them, I can't say because I think they still use that spot. I can't say where, but you know, they use metal detectors in the yard. Ours always got past the metal detectors because we're pretty smart. You know what I mean? Well, I'm not the one that came up with the concept, but you know, I like to take a little bit of credit, but it was not my concept. The place that they're at, I'm sure that some of them are still there to this day because most of us got kicked out of the prison because of this incident. Okay, so he thinks I was bragging about doing damage in war. Tell me what you think, guys. I don't think I was. I didn't do. My name was bigged up in that war, one, because I was one of the only white guys in it. That's different from the feds as well. This is something to take into consideration, how much different the feds and the state is. It's like I said, it's not as racially segregated. You fit in with people that are real, that are like you. You know what I mean? Your area, if you. So yeah, I don't think my name was glorified. It was how I say bigged up from that incident because I held my own. I showed heart. Like I said, I can't say I did damage in that war, but I tried. We were outnumbered, bro. I tried. You know what I mean? I got stabbed. Not really stabbed. They tried. It barely punctured, like I said, because he didn't, you know what I mean? And I had a little shirt. He was stabbing real light. Like I said, you could tell he didn't, I don't want to get in that. He didn't stab anybody before I could tell. You know what I mean? By how he was trying to stab me. And he tried to stab me in my shoulder. Like, you got all, you know. So, yeah, I don't think I bragged at all. He said there's no way they'd have let you slide and not face charges. I don't think anybody got charged with staff assaults. It's not always the case. Staff assaults is usually automatic charge. That takes paper. I don't know if the people that did that, like I said, one of them maxed out. And as far as I know, was never charged. You are right. A lot of times that is a charge. They're not charging all them people in this world. It's too much paperwork. You could tell by the write-ups they gave us, it was like 2 lines. Inmates were seen throwing and receiving punches. All of ours said the same thing. They're not writing there, this inmate grabbed a knife that was about this. And that's a lot of reports. They don't like doing 1 or 2 write-ups, these guards. They're going to write it as bullshit and brief as possible that they don't, because they're not the ones, they don't give a fuck. It's an administration. You know what I mean? All right, let's go back to just by you saying we thought we were making jail fun, sounds like you didn't do time at all. Okay. All right. I mean, that would be a crazy, a fraud, bro. Okay. All right. I didn't do time, I guess. And being an AC is the whole, aka segregated housing unit. Yes, you are right. You're under whole status. Not whole status. I don't consider that. All right. So there's 2 types. When you get a write-up, you are under, after you get your time, you get a write-up, right? Your ACF first, right? Administrative custody. That means the administration is holding you, but you don't technically have whole time, but you are in the hole. So when you have your hearing for your write-up, you get disciplinary time if you're sanctioned, unless you beat it, which like never happens. You know what I mean? So when you finish that DC time, you're released to population, unless they think you're a threat to others or others are a threat to you, or they have some other reason or a threat to the facility that they're kicking you out of the jail, which happened to me multiple times, and this incident, it did as well. So then, when you're finished your DC time, sometimes I'll cut that early, you switch to what's called AC status, administrative custody. Then you're able to buy certain commissary foods, which you're not allowed to do on DC status, and you're waiting to be transferred. This was the quickest administrative transfer I've ever had, and I think I've had 4 total. Like I said, because I've been kicked out of 4 prisons. Not always, no cool stories like this. Not a fraud, John. So, yeah. So, yeah, I guess you're correct. I think that's phonetics. It's wordplay. You consider it whole status. I don't, because you're AC. You're technically not a whole inmate, but you're in the hole. So whatever. There's no reason to dispute that. I think it's just a difference in terminology. So let's see what else. John is saying that I sounded like I took 4 extra stories about prison fights and made them my own. People do this. Trust me. If that was the case, I could have done better. I have a few stabbings that are recorded that I have cases for. So that's or was written up for. So, and you think they're the only ones that I've ever done, not glorifying. I was in a different mindset, you know. I could have lied and said I was stabbing a whole bunch of people. No, bro. you know, that wasn't the case. I think my story could have been a little bit better than this if I was making it up. But like I said, come on the show, man. Talk to me. Tell me why you think that I'm lying in real time. Don't even, you know, anybody else that feels any type, comment. Let me know what you think. Okay, let's look at his other. I told him that, all right, so I said that policy is they must wait for backup to come in this situation, because he spoke of how the policy is they fire warning shots, make you get on the ground. So when I said that, I'm not sure if that is policy, what I said. So this is another way of me saying I could or may not be mistaken. All I know is from past experiences, there were multiple riots in Hillsdale, or melees, whatever term you want to use. I was involved in one. I was there for 2 others, at least 1 other, because I was let out of the hole for another riot. Each time the CO sat there and just waited, because they know in that prison COs were assaulted. I don't want to say as much as inmates, but exaggeratingly, if I was exaggerating, I'd say as much as inmates. That nowhere near, but it was a common occurrence. You know what I mean? One sergeant was stabbed multiple, because it used to be a juveniles used to be there as well, by a juvenile in his neck, and he has a permanent twitch. You know what I mean? This was a dangerous jail, not only for the people in prison there, but for staff as well. When this happens, these plain clothes don't just go in there. People are getting stabbed. COs get stabbed there. They didn't in our riot get stabbed, but this is common in SCI Hillsdale. HOUTZDALE. If you want to look it up for yourself, go ahead. Anybody in the state of PA that has been upstate prison has heard of this place and what goes on there. So if you're doing your research, or if you think my stories are illegitimate, not authentic, reach out to anybody from Pennsylvania that's been in DOC, that's in a few years, and just ask them about Hillsdale, and that'll be enough there. Because like I said, this is not one incident. Ours is not even a significant incident. This is minor. Like, it goes down there. This is I think right after our incident, or not long, I think same groups went to war under different circumstances, and it was a lot bigger. You know what I mean? And a lot of things changed as far as protocol in the prison, as I was informed, because I was kicked out after that because of that. You know what I mean? Wax getting thrown across the gate, dudes getting stabbed over here, dudes getting stabbed over there, life flighted. I was told somebody was killed. I don't know if that's accurate, because I heard conflicting accounts. But like I said, ours is not the only story like this. Ours, compared to the others, is nothing. If I was taking stories, bro, I'd take some of theirs, because they did some damage, man. They made a statement, man. I would tell the story up Hillsdale where when we were in the hole, where the CERT locked about 4 dudes in the chow hall. Now you'll say this is lying too, right? Locked 4 dudes in the chow hall. These dudes beat the shit out of the CERT team, got out onto the walk, and was beating them up all up and down the walk. You would think that was impossible, right? Because if CERT got the building and they're equipped and they got their tasers and their pepper spray and all that, how do you get it through a locked kitchen door? They got through, bro. This was well known. It has nothing to do with me. 4 guys over a meal ticket, man. I would do a video on that, but I don't know enough about it because I don't have first-hand experience with it. So, all right, let's get back to it. He said it wasn't the policy for them to wait for backup. Well, they do, and they did. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. They sat back, and when someone tried getting involved, that's when he got assaulted. Not by me, 30 plus inmates with weapons. He said it's not the policy if you claim 30 plus inmates with weapons. Okay, yeah. And that incident, I'm sure it would have been handled differently. I think they would have still waited, because what's a CO going to get stabbed? They don't have nothing but pepper spray. You know what I mean? Like I said, the towers are not set up like the feds. It's in this specific prison. Like I said, some jails are like that. You know, the older prisons have the gun towers, but these have one tower like far out. You know what I mean? I'm sure them rifles are in range. However, it's not like they're just in a position to, you know, and you're watching a whole yard, at least a whole half of the yard that's going to war. That's a lot of people to watch for one tower. So he says that if, as I claim, 30 plus inmates with weapon, that's why those guard towers exist. They fire a warning shot, you hit the ground. Like I said, our prisons aren't like that. I've been in or around multiple incidents with a lot of people, and Never did they make, except for the people involved. Honestly, I don't know why not. I'm sure it might be handled different now. This is, oh wait, like I said, it's almost 20 years ago. John told me that my name and state number doesn't show up in Pennsylvania registry. He can't seem to find anything, not even a single news report about this riot in 2007, 2008. Maybe there wasn't a report. I don't know, bro. What do you want me to tell you? Call the jail. Ask them if they know of, if there was an incident in 2007, 2008, SCI Housedale. Act like you're a personal investigator, or private investigator, I mean, or act like you're with the news or something. It's not that hard, man. It happened. What else? What else you want me to tell me? Because they didn't put in the news. Does every murder make the news? Do you know how many murders there are around here that don't make the news, bro? Like, what do you want me to, this is common. Like, it's not that big of a deal, I don't think. All right, so I told him, he said, cool stories, though. All right, bro. The truth is always cool, I think. All right. He responded saying it doesn't matter who has weapons, especially if there's guards in the yard. And yeah, I just tried to find this riot you spoke of. 0 reports, but ironically reported about a riot in 2015. Okay, 2015. I'm glad I just seen it. I think that's the one. That was big. That's why. That was big. I think someone died in that. Did I take that story and make it my own? No. In that story, from what I was told, whacks were being passed through the fence. Dudes were getting stabbed on this side. Dudes were getting stabbed on that side. Same groups, though. So you are on. It was the same groups. Couple guys medevaced out. That's why they started, because there's 2 yards. So in the middle there's a gate, and we talked through there. People would pass drugs through there. People would pass knives through when necessary. Even though they do have cameras, it is risky, but there's ways to get away with it. I was told after their incident in 2015 that they put up a black screen there that you can no longer see through, and metal detectors in the yard. We did not have metal detectors in the yard when we were there. We may have had, when you're going out, guards randomly search people. So they may have had a hand wand there back then. I don't remember. I've been in, like I said, so many prisons. That's the ones that didn't have metal detectors going out the yard, which was most of the prisons I was in. Sometimes they'll put a guard with a wand and just pick out random people. Since their incident in 2015 that John is speaking of, I was told that a metal detector was put in yard. So, no, that is not the story I'm talking about. Theirs was a lot more major. Ours had no serious injuries. I know Mello got stabbed in the stomach. I was attempted to stab here, barely punctured. Can't consider it. My ex stabbed me better than that. Corey got his face cut. I got cut the second time. Because the first time was in Camp Hill. That scar is there. I guess I'm lying about that too. All right, so I expected this because there's a lot of frauds out there. I'm not one of them. So, post your paperwork. You saying you got rid of your papers. I mean, it were old write-ups. And like I said, if I still had them, it wasn't nothing, but you could have said, oh, it says that I was throwing and receiving punches in the yard. It doesn't say riot. It doesn't say multiple. It might have said multiple people were seen. I don't know how they worded it, but it wasn't anything that if I even still was able to be like, yeah, look, you would have been like, yo, it just says, it makes it seem like it was just a fight. Which essentially, I guess it was. It was just with a lot of people. How about your ID? This isn't from that time, though. I don't have that one, and I wish I kept them. I think I kept them for the longest time. That was my GS number. I'm sure I have something here with my number on there. I definitely have pictures, and I posted that on my TikTok. Some of them are from that time. How about any pics from when you're inside, visitation, mugs, or the prison chapel? Yes, I have all that. It's in my TikTok, Just a Felon. That's on there, and I will try to upload it on here as well. Did you think, like, just verify it now, takes 2 seconds to post a pic? I'm still learning this, I'm gonna be honest. Like this, I'm on my laptop here, I'm on my phone here. I'm still, if I go in there, this exits here, this laptop still connected to somebody I don't want it to be connected with, and I don't want to get into my stuff. And where am I going to take? Go to my TikTok, Just a Felon. Just_A_felon. There's pictures of my visits there with my family, but I mean, this should be enough. I had my state browns and I had my tablet because I maxed out at whole and couldn't give it to anybody. Do you think I just wasn't in prison at all? That would be crazy, bro. If somebody's out there like that, man. I mean, I'm sure there's people like that, but okay. So wait, what? Almost all state databases have prior inmate records, especially felonies, include information about past criminal history, including convictions, mugshots, and dates. Okay, John Cena, let's do this. And this doesn't have anything to do with my stories. This is later times, but at least it'll show you verification that I've been in prison without me having to go through all the work. Google Justin Klein stabbing. That was this number originally. I've been back. I violated a couple times. One with a new case, which is a different incident. The reports are still up there. Times Herald. It happened in King of Prussia. Justin Klein stabbing will give you that report. It says about the time I was given for that case. Now, I only say that to verify I was actually in prison. This doesn't say anything about the stories that I have told so far. So, I don't know if that's sufficient for you. I have my ID. I'm not getting in the business of, I'm not going to get into the business of verifying every detail. You're going to see my stories are true. I have plenty of people out here that have been in prison with me when I've done multiple things. Jailhouse stabbing, I got called for in one prison, and a few other stories that I think, not that they're cool, but if I was fabricating a story, I think these things, or things that are on par with what I've actually done, would have been better. You know what I mean? So if I'm fabricating a story, wouldn't I take from something that's all right, so this was verified. I got kicked out of this jail for the stabbing. Multiple people that are out here now were there or in the prison and know about it, right? So why would I tell this riot story where I have no knife, I didn't stab anybody, and I was on the defensive almost the whole time, except after I got cut and then ran to, well, speed walk to his group, him and his group of people, and started punching on people. Did I say I knocked somebody out? Did I say I fucking put him? No, because there's too many people. And I was just mad. I thought I had X on my face because I had this already. This one went across. Like I said, it just didn't cut. So, wouldn't I make it a little better, bro? Like, come on, like, how much did I do? Wouldn't I say, like, yo, I saw him, and no, I said I was told that this person was crawling and someone was on his back, punching him or stabbing him, whatever the case was, and he was on one of the people that jumped me. I was told that this person was getting into war because I didn't see nothing but what I saw, what I was getting involved in. I didn't know anybody did anything, with the exception of when I was leaving yard and Nitty was fucking this dude up, and I looked back and I asked my guy that I was with, is that us? And he said, no, that's not us. And I said, I think it's us. No, it's not us. Come on. I looked back, that's us. And I ran back. By the time I got there, Nitty was handcuffed and one other guy down there, so I was not even able to get involved in that. That's all I saw anybody do besides when I was leaving the yard. Oh, I forgot one detail. So when I finally got up, when I told you I was backpedaling and they were trying to stab me, right? It was 2 or 3 guys at the time. I think it was 2. Said 3. I think it was 2. Maybe the third's this. But this is after the group of people, and most of them dispersed, and 2 or 3 are left. One was trying to hold me. The other was trying to stab me unsuccessfully. Barely punctured, like barely, so it's not a stab. So, backing up, whatever. Trying to back up, trying to fight. I fall. Don't hit the ground. My hand does. That's what I bragged about. That was my bragging point. And then by the time I got up, they're gone. And then one of my homies, I don't remember, is, yo, come on, we're done. And I'm looking around, and there's all these people, not all these people, a good bit of people that are fighting each other, going at it, doing whatever they're doing, but none of them are on our side. So how does that happen? Because we are, let's say, the A side, they're the B side, with some of the C side there. Don't look too much in them terminologies. I'm just saying A, B, and C. I don't like using the terms of the gangs because it's irrelevant, I think. So the 2 main groups were A and B. We're A, they're B. Some of C jumped in to help some of B, but I think, like I said, they didn't know who was who, so they went at some of the same guys they were trying to help, I think. Maybe that's the explanation. Guard was getting beat up over here. This guy was fighting here, and couple, and then my homie was like, yo, we're gone. There's none of us left. So I guess apparently I was the last one in that yard. And then that's when we're leaving and blah, blah, blah. When I look back, getting close to the block, that's when I see Nitty, fighting. And that's the only thing I've seen from our side. And like I said, our side was verified to have rode out. The dudes that went to the hole with me, everybody rode out. And I got them stories from the side we were going against. It'd be great, and I'm going to look for and hopefully find somebody that was on the other side of this war. And I had somebody in mind. I just have to reach out to him. Animal, I believe he's out in Allentown. With all due respect, bro. Salute, greetings. You know what I mean? If you hear this, bro, you can give the details of every part of this, because me and you were toe to toe in this. So anybody that knows him, he used to be associated with a specific gang. I don't want to say because he's no longer on that. As far as I was told, he's religious now, and I respect that, man. So stay on that. But trust me, as this thing gets bigger and people hear, there's going to be people that are reaching out that were there with me that can tell you. And they will. And that's all the verification you need. I'm not going to get in the business of each individual detail, this and that. If anybody, John Cena -03D, you or anybody else wants to come on the podcast, and first off, I'd love to hear your story of the feds. I've never been in the feds, and I want to show my audience, my viewers, what the differences are between state and feds, and you know. But I'd also like you to, in real time, challenge me. Challenge my facts. I don't want to be able to think of things before. Like, now I had to take my notes. Like, you said this, you said that. Well, this is the case, this is that. And I didn't even look at them because I wanted to be authentic and genuine. You know what I mean? Not that my notes aren't. I just had certain speaking points that I wanted to bring up in regards to the things that you've mentioned. You know what I mean? This story I gave and any story I give will be as accurate as possible. If you, any of the viewers, whether the one who has commented or not, feels as though anything is inauthentic, or you feel like there's some type of discrepancy, comment below. Or we can arrange a day you can hold your comments. Comment that you want to come on the podcast to challenge some of my story of what you think is intentionally skewed, and then I can maturely dispute you in real time. So you know that I'm not trying to think of my answers or nothing. I don't have to think of anything. These stories actually happened. I will keep telling them. I'm going to do them hopefully in a slightly different manner. I don't want to glorify this stuff. This stuff's not cool. But when you think back to things that you used to do in an old mindset that you lived with for years, this is something that was acceptable for years. So when I think back and I'm telling these stories, in the moment, I'm enjoying it. Because certain things I look back like, damn, that's crazy. However, that is a character flaw that I need to work on myself. It's one thing that it happened. It's one thing to tell what happened. It's another thing to tell what happened and enjoy the thought of it happening. And I don't regret my past. I don't regret what I've been through. I have learned from my mistakes. I've learned from the mindset that I resided in for so many years. And I continue to learn from it. I don't approve of a lot of things I've done or been involved with. However, they made me who I am today. And that's the important thing. My message is taking what you have been through, adversity, whether it was prison or not, anybody can relate, and conquering your mindset, your mind, your thought patterns after it, and using that for good. I take teachings from prison, the politics, the negative, and all that. My distorted thought patterns, and I try to learn from them and apply them in a positive manner out here in society. I'm not just a felon. I'm more than that. And that's the point. That's my message. I'm changing the narrative and I'm trying to help people. And that being said, my stories have to be authentic, and they will continue to be so. I do have a good bit of stories to tell, and they're not as gory and quote unquote interesting, I think, as some of the other ones I've seen out. I just watched a podcast the other day about an inmate being lit on fire and burned to death in prison. That's something in our prisons years ago that was a method of assault to the degree of murder. I've never experienced it. I've never learned the tricks of how to do it. You don't have lighter fluid. You can smuggle anything in, but you don't necessarily have lighter fluid. There's something to do with something specifically we're given in prison that I was told. Like I said, however, the person that had told me this didn't tell me the method to do it. I wanted to know, because you need a specific type of cells that can actually lock or something, that you can actually throw what you need to in there that's combustible and light the cell on fire. And if I did know, I wouldn't say it because I don't want anybody out here trying to recreate it. Children, I am looking to ultimately send my message to the youth. So I also have to reevaluate how I'm telling these stories and in what manner. Like I said, however, regardless, they will always be authentic. Authentically me, to the best of my memory and ability to recall. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Like I said, any type of discrepancies or what you think to be discrepancies or inconsistencies in my stories or my speech, anything, comment or let's set up a day to talk on my podcast so the viewers can hear what we have to say. Because how much good is it doing me disputing with you separately when you have issues that I want everybody to hear? If you think this, I want everybody to hear what John Cena said so that we can establish this and you can get a clear view of how prison actually is. The differences between state, federal, and county we're going to talk about. I've never been in federal, like I said, but it is a lot different in state prisons. Things that happen in feds don't necessarily happen in state, and things that happen in state don't necessarily happen in feds. So please keep that in mind. Just because one thing's handled one way in one prison doesn't mean it's handled in another. Is there a universal code of conduct for correctional officers and operations in prisons? I'm sure there is some way, but I'm sure it's different between federal, state, and county, and I'm sure it's vastly different from prison to prison. And on top of that, do they always do what they are supposed to do? No. These officers are trying to go home alive, and this is a prison where a lot of them are, and in one piece, the way they entered work. This specific prison is one where a lot of them were targeted and assaulted for the smallest infractions. You got to understand, people are coming from places with Camp Hill where the guards have total control. You're not getting away with shit. There's still staff assaults there, but not as much. There's a lot more assaults from staff on the convicts, on the prisoners. You know what I mean? So it's a different scenario. So people are coming to their home jail like Housedale with an attitude, like you're not gonna, and the guards are more passive, mostly. Not all of them. Some of them got some. The ones that'll speak up are willing to really, put their hands on you. I'm gonna end here, man. Stay tuned. And I asked you if you listen to one of my prison stories, one of my prison diaries, at least listen to one positive video. That's the deal. As long as I see continuing viewers on my positive videos, I will keep giving you my authentic prison stories. If I give the story, it's authentic. So keep supporting me and like and subscribe if you found any value of this. Any type of, maybe it's entertaining for you to see because you think, whatever. Follow, because I don't care what reasons you clicked on my page for or decided to watch my video. My goal in the end is to have you go to that positive content, to take what I've learned from my experiences and apply it in your own life, and therefore reach the youth, the kids that are going through the trauma that I went through that led to the type of thinking that I had, that I've maintained and harbored for so many years. We can save our children, our youth, a lot of pain and suffering if we assess, address, alter, and adjust certain aspects of their mindset and thinking based off of their life as a child, which is extremely traumatic pretty much in all children. Which children doesn't deal with mental health issues? We just don't think they did. Oh, they're a happy child. Kids deal with rough stuff, okay? So that is the ultimate goal of all this. So stay tuned for Prison Diaries. Third video, I think I'm going to go back to the beginning of me getting to Housedale and a few of the tribulations I faced through that. My whole trips, why I went to the hole, why I caught a new case in prison and had to do an extra year time before the riot, melee. So stay tuned. But like I said, I had to see consistent viewers on some of my positive content, man, because I'm not doing this to be negative. I'm not doing this to propagate negativity. This is the reality of prison. People get hurt. It is dangerous situations. People get stabbed. People get cut. People get jumped. People get unalived. right? The term that we have to use, apparently. So this is a reality of prison. It's not cool, man, and it shouldn't be glorified. And I apologize to the viewers if I told my story in a manner that did seem to glorify my actions, and I believe that is what it was when I was telling the story. However, regardless of that fact, the fact remains that my stories are and always will be authentic. When you get me, you're getting authentic me, just a felon. But I'm more than that. Thank you for supporting. Like and subscribe.